It's time now for the Sports Objective Podcast. No talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast. Our Pirate Playback. Pirates get a big victory, 24-21 over Old Dominion. First road win in 2 years. I'm Dave Richmond along with, ladies and gentlemen, Kyle from the Grange Barber. How are you, man?
What's going on, Dave? How are you?
Feeling great. 2 wins in a row. Oh, my gosh. First time since 2016, I believe. The first 2 games of Scotty Moe's career. He got 2 wins. So
first win as a road underdog since 2014.
Yeah, it's a real big historical night for the Pirates. Bubba Rosenbaum, how you feeling, man?
Feeling well. Great to be talking about a victory like you guys said, and it's going to be it's nice to talk about. The Pirates are just where a lot of people thought they'd be after September, going into the blackout this Thursday night, 3-2.
And this is exactly what's great about this program now is, gentlemen, they did exactly what they needed to do. The 2 victories against FCS opponents, the 1 victory against Old Dominion being the FBS opponent, and that's what we thought preseason. We really thought that if they could somehow beat NC State, they did not, or Navy, they would be pretty much stealing the game there because we felt like both teams were probably better, hoping to win, but they did. Go ahead.
I wish we could have played NC State later in the year. Their offense, they're struggling the last few weeks. They can't do nothing on offense. I wish we could have gotten them later in the year.
That's true, like in December, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I know you're referencing last year, but I think things would be way different this year if we played them in December.
There's no question about it. I believe that when you look at the good news, as we said on 94.3, the game's no quarter post-game show last night, I really believe that the good news is for this team, the biggest surprise has been, and Kyle, you started off with it, so I'll give you credit after the NC State game. This defense has played way better than we expected and gave them credit for.
Yeah, I kind of, when I was watching, going back to the North Carolina State game, and you guys noticed it too, but I just thought the guys did as well as they could. I think we got some talent issues in spots, particularly with depth. But the defense is in position to make plays. Last night on that late touchdown Old Dominion had, guys, the DB was in position to. He was there. The coverage was there. He just didn't turn around and try to play the ball. He kept playing the damn man, but he was there.
Yeah, and that one thing, as I said last night, the defense seems to be ahead of the offense. But man, if that offense can somehow catch up, that's a big question mark. There's a lot of talent, I believe, on offense, especially at running back, right, Bubba?
Yeah, most definitely. That's what you had. Demetrius Mooney had a little over 50 yards. I mean, that's a lot of people think, well, 50 yards. I mean, what's the big? But he had a nice number of yards per carry, and had a big run coming off the goal line right after we forced the reviewed play where we forced a fumble. I know we'll talk about that later and get into whether we thought it was a touchdown or not, whatever. But that was a huge run that got us out of being pinned deep. And then also you had Tay Williams. I was a little surprised he only got 3 carries, but those 3 carries he had 18 yards. And then Trace Christian, I think he had 10 or 11 carries for right around 20 yards. So not an excellent night for Trace, but he took care of the football, and so that was something that stood out.
Tay needs to touch the ball more, and my guess is the reason he didn't touch it more is because he is a freshman, and maybe Coach Houston in a tight ball game didn't trust him with the ball, but he's talented. He can make people miss and make things happen. Tay needs to be touching the ball more.
Yeah, I thought that when you look at it, the great thing about getting 2 victories in a row is that a guy like Darius Penix, you can hold him to, say, the middle of October, guys, maybe towards, who knows, it might be Halloween before we get him back. We don't know that. But when my point is, as long as we're winning, there's no pressure to feature back the guy that was number 1 on the depth chart before he got hurt, and that's Darius Penix.
No, well, you can't bring him back when he's dealing with an injury.
Yeah.
You got a situation with a pinched nerve, neck and shoulder area. So you can't rush players back in this day and age, and it's good these other backs are performing, and that's just going to create more depth. So it's a good thing. But guys, let's talk about the game, man. There was some big plays to talk about in that game as we look back at Old Dominion. You know, you start off with, I guess, the first big play of the game, Bubba. You know, the screw up by Corey Gore as he catches a ball at the 1 yard line going out of, instead of just letting it go out of bounds, and it would have been at the 35. He tries to play it. I don't know, you know, just a mental error. But then after that, we're down at the goal line and we hit a big pass over the middle to was that the Prohl or who was that to? I don't even remember.
Yeah, Prohl that was a huge play in the first half.
Are you're talking about
really deep ball?
Just the first pass?
Yeah. So it was DeAndre Ferrier.
Ferrier was
Ferrier.
Yeah.
Colby Gore, like you said, just had the poor decision there, and then so that was the thing. You think, oh no. So you were hoping the team wasn't, oh no, here you go again, and they certainly were not. They came out, and a couple plays later, Holton found DeAndre Ferrier behind coverage, and it looked like I thought obviously we didn't have the best of camera angles, and we'll talk about that later. So we didn't know. Fortunately, on that one, it wasn't too bad. We were able to see the catch, and it looked like, hey, he might go 99 yards. So, but I think it went for 52. So that was the longest pass play of the year to that point, and then. And then 87-yard drive, I think it was, and Jake Verity knocked in the, I want to say it was like a 29-yard field goal, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was frustrating not to get 7, but it was nice to get points after you thought that we might be punting from our own end zone just shortly into the ball game.
Yeah, it was a big play. You get 3 there, and I may do things out of sequence here. Bubba, but I believe the next big play, and if not, who cares? But the block punt, obviously, was maybe the biggest momentum play of the game. You know, there's a stat: you win something like 97% of the games you block a punt in college football.
I've heard that, yeah.
So the block punt was huge, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see it, Bubba. The camera just decided they weren't going to show it. The camera guy who. You know, I don't know. I think it was maybe someone with an iPhone. I don't know, but he decided that he were going to show the block punt. But nonetheless, we blocked the punt for a touchdown, and it was a huge play.
Yeah, Warren Zaba, obviously JUCO transfer, second year with the program. It was nice to see that. And I went back and I was curious this morning. I wanted to see exactly how we blocked it, and I noticed that Roy Tesh and this coaching staff, Coach Houston and company, that's what has really been well noted on what an emphasis they place on special teams and the impact it makes on a ball game and so forth, flipping the field, touchdowns like last night. And so it was also awesome to see how it happened. That's what I think it was the play side A-gap. So in layman's terms, just between the deep snapper and the guard, I think between the deep snapper and the guard, then we put 3 people into that gap, and I think it was the middle person that was Saba, and he came free, and because we had overloaded that area, and so he blocked it and scored himself. So I think it was right at 4 yards, 5 yards. So that was awesome to see. Hopefully we'll continue to make hay on special teams. We certainly need to do so while our offense is continuing to find its form.
Where did you find the replay of that? Was that from the halftime replays that you went back and watched on the ESPN Plus app, or was it somewhere on YouTube?
It was not. It was I put it out on social media, but it was I think from the American the 3 or 4 minutes of American Athletic Conference highlights.
So is that on our Facebook page?
I have not put it out there yet. No, I've been at the baseball field all day.
I thought you said you did put it out there. Okay.
No. I will put it out there on social media, but this morning when I woke up before I went to my son's baseball game, I checked that out, and yeah, so that's where I saw it. It was a good camera angle.
I don't know where they got it from. Must have been from a local news station filming the game or something.
Well,
But
it may have been that, or it was not. Remember, it was there at the line of scrimmage, so it wasn't. The camera did move as soon as the cameraman thought the ball had been, or camerawoman, whoever the person was, thought the ball had been punted.
I think it may have actually been a small child.
Yeah, but whatever the case, the camera work was fine right there at the line of scrimmage, and so that's how I just thought I'd mention that, and that's interesting how we blocked it.
After the block punt, again, if I'm out of order, I apologize, but the next big play I remember was it the fumble as they were going in to score for the Old Dominion quarterback Stone fumbled going into the end zone. We recovered it, which was a huge play in the game and huge momentum shift. And that was an interesting play because it was called a fumble on the field. They were Old Dominion was wanting to say touchdown. And then what I saw actually was it looked to me like he was down at the 1 and it should have been 4th and goal. And that is what Bobby Wilder was saying after the game, that the receiver, or not the receiver, but Stone said he was down at the 1 and he just tried to reach the ball over after he was already down. So Stone and Wilder said that they should have been down at the goal line on 4th down, which is what I said also, is what I saw. But I was certainly glad to get the call. That was the call that was made on the field, and there was not undisputable video evidence, so the call should have stand. That's how the rule's written. You need undisputable video evidence to overturn a call, and there was not. And Bobby Wilder came off like a whiny little girl after that game, just like he has almost every time we've played them. He's whining about something. I don't know if that's just against East Carolina or if he does that whenever they lose a game period. But if you go watch his comments, I found them on YouTube from Wavy, a TV station out of WAVY, a TV station out of Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. He just comes across as an excuse maker and just anyway. That's enough about that. But Bubba, any thoughts on that play?
I think you said it pretty much exactly what needs to be said as well as you could say it. Your thoughts summed up exactly what I thought as soon as I saw the few replay angles, and like you said, that angle was it was not directly on the goal line. It was at an angle looking toward the play from the end zone. And so from that angle, you cannot tell if the ball had broken the front of the plane. So obviously, it was inconclusive and it was not indisputable. So
it definitely wasn't a touchdown. I can assure you, he was either down at the 1 or it was a fumble, one of the two.
I think the officials made the right call based on the video they had to go on.
Yeah, you got to leave it as calls as stands, or stands as called, and then the next big play for the Pirates was the deep pass over the middle to Blake Kroll for the long I don't know how long that touchdown was.
72 yards and 72-yard post route. That's a pretty ball.
Beautiful, prettiest pass play we've had at East Carolina all year by far.
How about it was also on 3rd and 7?
Yeah, that's a good point. It was on 3rd and 7. And, jump ahead to later on in the game, and we'll come back. But I wanted to say this. We need to break tendency a little bit more. If you guys noticed on our last scoring drive there in the 4th quarter, which was arguably the biggest drive of the game, we broke tendency. We threw on 1st down. And I think we need to do that a little bit more often. We are a run-first team. I get that. But I think sometimes when you throw on 3rd down every time instead of mixing it up, throwing on 1st down, throwing on 2nd down, I think it gets a little too predictable. And you're throwing when you have to instead of throwing when you want to. And I think we need to break tendency a little bit and throw more on 1st and 2nd down.
Yeah, I think that one thing too is that one of the things that I can already feel coming is people they're so used to video game numbers with air raid, but right now with RPO, I think that this new offense, we're going to win more games. It might be closer games, more lower low-scoring games, at least for right now. And, hey, as long as we win the game, that's all I care about. If they run 50 times, if they pass 50 times, we win the game, I don't care. But obviously, I think right now the running game is, as we've said a lot, is a huge part of this offense. And I agree with you there, Kyle, with most definitely with you don't want to be predictable. Like we had going to 88 last year, 88. That was our passing game. Trayvon Brown, are you ready to get killed by every defender, knowing that we got behind in the game, you have to pass. We knew we had to pass, and everybody says a go-to guy. I get it, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be every time to that guy.
You want a number one receiver. If you have a number one receiver, that means you've got a dominant receiver out there, and if you utilize that right, it'll open up other receivers. Problem is Montgomery didn't use it right. But what were you going to say, Bubba?
Yeah, what you're saying as far as distributing the football, you think back to some of the best passing attacks we had prior to the air raid. Thinking under Steve Logan, you think of guys like Mitchell Galloway, Jason Nichols, Larry Shannon, Troy Smith, Lamont Chappell, etc. Those guys had, normally somewhere between 35 and 55 receptions or something. And I know we weren't running as many plays, and we're comparing two different eras, but the point is that part of the reason those guys didn't have 80, 90, 100 catches in addition to that was just because of the way those various quarterbacks, Crandall, Garrard, Danny Gonzalez, et cetera, were spreading it around.
Yeah, and when Carden was here, and we were running the air raid, we did spread it around. It wasn't just it was always Justin Hardy and then Zay Jones and before that Dwayne Harris. They were just the primary receivers. And when you're throwing the ball at 70 to 80% of the time, your primary receivers are going to get a ton of catches.
Absolutely, and I wasn't clear on that. I said air raid. I should have been more specific. I was thinking more, I guess, post air raid, especially like. And this is obviously nothing against Zay, but when you have a receiver getting 160 receptions, that's probably not the best in the world. Even as remarkable as it was to watch his 22 catch game down at South Carolina.
No doubt about it. Well,
and the 160 or whatever he had in the season.
Yeah, now we've got a chance to. What's great about it now is we're seeing a new offense. We're seeing a new coaching staff and new personnel.
And believe me, I want to make this clear. I miss the air raid.
Yeah.
If I had my druthers, we'd be running the air raid. I'd love to have this defense with the Lincoln Riley style offense, but normally you can't. Normally they don't go together. Normally to have a good defense, you have to have a strong running game and be a physical team. For whatever reason, it is just hard to have a wide open offense and put out a good defense on a yearly basis. And this is we're going back to more Skip Holtz type ball. And I don't care how we win, long as we win. Yeah, just if I had my preference, we would be more wide open on offense.
Well, one good thing about it is that how about this? We've already won. Kyle, we've already won 3 games in a month, August 31st. But we have now 5 games where we have 3 victories. So the worst we could do, gentlemen, is 3-9.
Oh, absolutely. And some people will point out, 2 of those against FCS opponents. Well, yeah, they sure were. We didn't lose to them. Last 2 years we've lost to our FCS opponents.
Exactly.
So, you know what? I'm glad we got the 2 W's against FCS. It means we didn't lose to them. And we also didn't lose to Old Dominion. We're beating the teams we're supposed to beat. And according to the odds makers, we weren't supposed to beat Old Dominion. Despite what some people think, by the way, we were not favored in that game. We were 3-point underdogs.
No.
I know some people just don't have a grasp on reality and don't realize that, but we were 3-point underdogs in Norfolk, Virginia last night at kickoff. And so technically that was an upset, but I'll look at it as the game we should win because East Carolina should beat Old Dominion. So we took care of business on the road. We got 3 wins. We're 3-2, and now we're getting conference play, and it's going to get. We'll look ahead to Temple in a minute because we need to finish breaking this one down and look at the second half. And Bubba, as we came out in the second half, it wasn't pretty to start. We have them go 3 and out, and then get a penalty, and they get a first down, and come down and score.
Yeah, definitely. It was not pretty in the second half, but that's one of the things with the defense, despite the way the offense struggled to move the football and help it out, and then also a special teams mistake or two, like as far as and you guys can help me out here, especially you, Kyle, as far as that. I guess it was called a muff because I had walked away for a minute and did not see what happened there with Tyler Snead. And I just saw Coach Houston ticked off when I came back. Go ahead and talk about that.
There was a flag. They threw a flag on that play for kick catch interference. And they said that what they ended up saying was that basically, if I understood it right, the reason it wasn't kick catch interference is because they said he was blocked, the ODU defender was blocked into Tyler by one of our players. And
right, that's correct.
Which then caused Tyler to touch the ball, and so they called it a fumble, or what? Not a fumble, but whatever that was referred to. The receiving team touched the ball.
Yeah, a muff.
A muff. Thank you. And so that's what it was. It was a back off. It should have been kick catch interference.
Yep.
But they picked the flag up, and so gave up. Old Dominion got a break there. They took advantage of it, and it put us in a tough situation. But I was proud of the way the guys weathered the storm, man, because after those two touchdowns, suddenly they're right back in the ball game, and it's 17-13. I thought, oh, no, here we go. We're going to fall apart. But, we didn't. The defense bowed their necks. And Jake Verity, by the way, that was something we missed. They didn't call a roughing the punter.
John Young.
John Young got killed on a what should have been a roughing the punter, and they didn't call it. And
Coach.
So Verity did a good job punting last night, and that also in the second half when things could have kind of went the other way for us, along with the defense. When the offense wasn't doing anything in the third quarter, Verity was getting off good punts, and the defense was coming out and bowing their neck. And Dave, what do you want to say?
I was just going to add to what you were saying if I said this last night on the postgame show that I felt like that, with that very fact, if it was this game were last year, the guys would have folded like an old card table. The fact of the matter is when you have great coaching like we do, then you see the difference in Mo, and I'm sorry, Houston. I know people say, why do you bring it up? Well, I'm making a point, and the point is coaching does matter. And the reason it matters, these guys will run through the amount of emotion they're playing with now is just so awesome to see. And I know that it's very young in the season. I know it's very young as far as a new era is concerned. I'll tell you another thing I loved about it last night was I was telling you guys, unfortunately, for some reason, I couldn't even see the bad camera angles. My ESPN Plus was not working. I don't know why. It would not let me.
Probably because you had your data turned off.
Well, it said that, but I think it was on last night because I was getting all of Joel's messages last night. But anyway, something happened in between this morning, I think. But anyway, so for me, I listen to every radio broadcast anyway, and I was listening, and Coach Houston came off that after the first half, and it reminded me of vintage. I texted you guys that. It reminded me of vintage Logan. I was like, oh, my God, I love this man because he was composed, and then he brought up that very fact about how we're supposed to be protecting the kicker, and he was very passionate, and he didn't make a fool out of himself. But it just made me think about Logan, like back in the 10 years we had Logan, about how he really loved his players. And I'm telling you guys, when I heard him do that, I was like, no wonder these guys are fired up, motivated. And then I know, Bubba, you sent me that the video of them after the game last night that I think the ECU football put out. And I'm telling you, this coaching staff, and they have them prepared in every way. We're blocking, we're tackling, we're doing things we haven't done in a few years. And it just made me fired up when the game was like that. Like you said, it makes you go like, oh God, here we go. But then you think about, well, maybe we can do something here. And the defense, I started thinking about how the defense has played a really good game. And I mean, again, look at the point totals. We haven't given up that many points this year compared to what I know the Navy game. I realize the Navy game. Everybody's saying the Navy game. I hear you. But I feel like except for the Navy game, we've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, with the exception of the Navy game, I think our defense has played really well. And last night's performance by the D-line was as impressive. I mean, Kendall Futrell, good God, he had a career last night. He was, I know he was only 2 sacks and 7 tackles. It seemed like more than that.
I think I saw 3 sacks, unless that was recalculated. So, but yeah, I think.
How many sacks do we have in the game, Bubba? 5?
4. We had 4 sacks, 3 for Futrell, and he had 7 tackles total. And then you also, I want to say it was Chandon Hickerson, with the 4 sacks.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, had Stone not been an absolute freak, we would have had about 10 sacks.
They were on it.
That dude is elusive. My God, yeah, I got so sick of him running around back there. Sometimes I wanted to tackle him myself.
I'd like to see that.
He's an athlete. Good God. But in the fourth quarter, we had the drive where we broke Tennessee through on first down. Had the shovel pass, which I'm a huge fan of the shovel pass. Glad to see it brought back. We hadn't ran it. It seemed like we ran it a lot early in Lincoln Riley's tenure. And I was glad to see the return of the shovel pass for the touchdown. Blake Kroll had a great reception on that drive, where Holton threw it over 2 defenders' heads down the sideline, and Kroll jumped up and made a great catch. So then get it in the end zone to the tight end on the shovel pass. So I thought that was a key drive, Bubba, because that really, without that drive, we wouldn't have won the game potentially. Yeah,
that pass play that you referred to, that was, in my opinion, the third big pass play of the game. That was we had the 52, 72, and then 28. And then, like you said, it was 3rd and 5 at the Old Dominion 39, and we weren't very good on third down, but 2 of the third downs, I think we were 4 out of 16 or something like that. But 2 out of the 4 we converted. One was the 72-yard touchdown, and then the other was, I think it was a 28-yard, something like that, completion to Blake Kroll. And as a quarterback, that was just awesome to see the way Holton on the run like that. He couldn't have made a more perfect throw, and that was awesome coverage by Old Dominion. He put it where only Blake can make the play, and then Blake went up and made a tremendous catch.
Yeah, that's a pro-like throw. There seemed to be a sense of urgency and intensity on that drive, and that's the way we need to play every drive. We need to play with that kind of sense of urgency and intensity, and I think we'd have a lot more better things happen on offense. We were up by 11 at that point. They get a touchdown late, onside kick. Who recovered that onside kick, Bubba?
I do not recall right offhand. No.
Okay, Dave, do you know?
No, I heard I was listening on the radio. I heard that we recovered it. I never heard that.
I can't remember who recovered it, but he did a great job recovering it. Brought it in like it's supposed to. Got out of bounds.
He got it like at the 50-yard line, right?
Yeah, and
C.J. Johnson.
C.J. All right.
C.J. Johnson.
Great job recovering it, and securing the victory, and great clock management by Coach Houston at the end, and Holton executing the clock management to run that clock out so we didn't have to give the ball back to them. That was huge because we got the ball back with over 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, 2:08.
So you can screw that up real easy.
We know about that.
Yeah, but I was glad to see that, and I wish when we got that pick, and then came back and drove it and got it in field goal range and missed the field goal. God, or had it blocked actually.
Yeah.
I would love to make the field goal there because that would have put us up by 14, and the best they would have been able to do with 2 touchdowns is tie it. I would have really loved to see us put a touchdown on the board there and just put it on ice.
Right.
Maybe you can argue maybe we should have been more aggressive once we got down towards the red zone. You can also argue no, you shouldn't have because because the field goal was on the table and because you don't want to turn it over. So you could make either argument there, but I would have liked to have seen us at least get 3 there and put more pressure on ODU instead of having to hang on and win it by 3. But nonetheless, happy to get the win on the road. And guys, go ahead, Bob.
Something else, when you talked about the pressure of the front four, and we talked about Kendall Futrell, but then you also had Alex Turner and Jalen Price, and we talked about Hickerson. Hickerson's obviously he's not been playing because it has not been available, but what an impact he made last night. I told you he had a sack, and then I think he had something like 5 or 6 tackles.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think our D-line is good, man. I surprisingly, I don't think we got much depth behind them, but our starting D-line is solid. I don't know, guys. How, Dave? I think you called the win, but you always say we're going to win. But how surprised were you that we won, man? I called us to lose that game, and then, Bubba, if you remember, we were talking, and I told you on Friday I kind of changed my mind for some reason. I thought we were going to win it.
Yeah, so I was not stunned. I thought it would be a competitive 4-quarter ball game, low scoring, just like it was. Offensively, we, for the most part, we did what I thought we would do, but we did run the ball. I know we only averaged 3 yards per carry, but remember, everything's relative. 30, I'm trying to remember what it was. I got it right here. It was 36 carries for 107 yards. So exactly 3 yards per carry. And it's not great, certainly not where we want it to be or need it to be, but it's an improvement, and it was an improvement against a defense is only allowing 90 yards or not even 90 yards per game and 2.7 yards per carry. So we ran the ball better against them at their home than what UVA did when they were playing them at Charlottesville last weekend. So
nonsense, Bubba. ODU was not competitive with UVA in that game.
But something else. What about the play of Jaquan McMillan with picks? Yeah,
2 picks. The 3 turnovers in that game. Got 2 picks and a fumble recovery.
Yeah.
That'll win you some ball games. So need to keep that up this week as we're going to Temple, because we're going to face the best front seven we're going to see all year this weekend. And this Thursday night. And that scares the crap out of me with this O-line being maybe the weakness of this football team. Temple's front seven is extremely good and experienced. And so we're going to need to force some more turnovers this week. Bubba, you said that their quarterback has a tendency to throw picks.
He does. That Buffalo game they lost when they were coming off the win over Maryland and Scotty Moe. So they went to Buffalo and lost 38-22. But Russo, I think, threw 3 picks in that ball game. So that certainly helps you understand, in addition to Buffalo being a pretty good team, how they lost.
Yeah, and in their wins, Did you say he had a pick yesterday against Georgia Tech, even in the 24-2 win?
He has six picks, I think it is, on the season, and we'll certainly dive more into that in the preview that will be coming out on Tuesday. But 6 picks and at least 1 in every game. So he had 3 single pick games and then the 3 pick game against Buffalo.
Yeah, we opened up as a 13-point dog. Right now, most places have us as a 12-point dog as we go into Thursday, as we're sitting here just a few days out now from playing another game and a blackout inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. So everybody wear your black.
Something else, guys, it'll be interesting to see. We talked about I'm going to watch some more Temple film and get a much closer look at their front, but much has been made of their front 7 or so forth, and just how are we going to block them? How are we going to manage to move the football? So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe if we throw some more screen passes and try to get the ball to the perimeter and kind of use that, some of those things as a running game of sorts. We hadn't really seen anything like that to amount to anything thus far. We've seen a few screens and so forth, but that's something that obviously Donnie Kirkpatrick well versed in, and he knows how effective it can be when you're struggling to produce a running game. So maybe we'll do some of those things to find a way to move the football.
I just don't see us running it against Temple. I hope I'm wrong, but if we line it up and try to do what we did last night against William and Mary, it's not going to work.
I agree with you there. I think the Temple defense, it'll be interesting to see. I think the matchup would be our defense versus their offense, because I think that they're going to shut us down not shut us down a whole bunch of points, but I'm saying I don't see it. I see this being, once again, I see this being a game. Do you guys, or is it me?
It's definitely going to be a low-scoring game. If it's a high-scoring game, I'll be shocked. Odd Shark, their simulation actually has us losing at 39-18. So that ain't good. I hope that's wrong.
What do they say about the ODU game?
I see. Do what now?
What do they say about the ODU game?
I had us losing it by 4, I want to say.
Okay.
But let's hope they're not right. But I see it being a low-scoring game. I do. I'm concerned about our offense in this game a lot. Our defense needs to come out and play well, and we need to make plays on special teams if we want to pull off the upset. And I think we can pull off the upset. Particularly, how focused are they going to be? They just beat Georgia Tech. Emotional game for them. Their former head coach, Coach Collins, now the head coach of Georgia Tech. So, will they be focused coming in on a short week on Thursday night in Greenville?
Something I wanted to mention, obviously the last time they came to Greenville was Scotty's second year on the fall break game. It was a noon kickoff, and we had a few people in the stands because it was students were gone, not playing good football at all. And so, needless to say, it was very depressing walking into the stadium that day about 11:30 or whatever. But anyway, I think back 2 games ago, when as far as Temple coming to Greenville in that 2015 game, it was a Thursday night blackout. We moved the ball pretty well that night, but didn't convert in the red zone, and then had special teams mistakes because we had 2 blocked punts there in the final 5 or 6 minutes of the game, and we lost. Was it 21-10, Kyle? Something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah, it was
something like 21-10, and Temple was a ranked team that year. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It needs to be a low-scoring game, probably, in order for us to win. I mean, there's no reason why. I don't see why anybody would think that. It'll be interesting to see. Have you noticed what's the over/under?
I didn't check the over/under. Hold on, I can check it right now.
Because I know the over/under for last night's ball game, the over/under was 47 from what I saw. So
wow.
I think it will probably be around the same. What Temple?
Same with that, right? Yeah.
I know you said Temple's a 13.5 point favorite.
12-point favorite now.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the thing, is that we're going to continue to get that when we have the reputation we do. That most, what was it?
48 points.
Yeah. What's it, Kyle, you call the most stink? Is that what it is?
You get the most stink off of us, yes. But it's a 48.
Yeah, we got to get the most stink. So as long as we have that most stink on us, that reputation, then they're obviously going to say we're going to be, including the ODU game. If we were winning, I feel like it'd be a lot different there for the way they had us not favored. And then this week is obvious because Temple's had our number. How many times in a row is it? Is it 5 straight now?
Yeah, yep. Ever since we've been in the American. And also, there's been years in the past where I felt like, we can be competitive with Temple. I remember last year, I felt like, we had beaten UNC. We played competitive against South Florida. We'd beaten Old Dominion, and you think, hey, we're going to be competitive with Temple, and then they beat the dog crap out of us. So, I mean, let's hope that don't happen again. I got a feeling I got a feeling our defense will play pretty well against their offense.
Yeah, what's great is with Juwan McMillan, players like that. Coach Houston said after the William and Mary game, he said that he told Juwan that he was a very special player, and he said, "I know you're a freshman. I don't normally let freshman talk to the media, but he was talking about the very fact that he feels like if things continue, obviously the way that they have it so far, and what he's seen in practice, the way he's playing in games, and then look at what he did on the road. He's a freshman, you know. I mean, that's why I have to remind myself, guys like him, they're so young, and that's what makes me very happy is to see the play of these guys, and they're so young. Most of them are really young, and that the good news, they're only going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Jaquan McMillan's out of West Forsyth High School in just outside of Winston-Salem, in the western part of Forsyth County, where I grew up, and so he comes from a winning background. West Forsyth has a really strong tradition, and so he's one. I'm sure a lot of folks passed on him because of his size, but I'm glad he's a Pirate.
Oh, no question about it. And you know what? He fits into the mold, right, of who we are, with a chip on his shoulder. And look at him now. He's playing well in a very young season. And we're not even, the great thing about the Temple game is we're not even officially at halfway mark. And again, very proud of the 3 wins. Very proud of, as far as the Temple game is concerned, I said it on the post-game show as well. I want to say it, too, on this podcast. Folks, we need, and I'm not the chancellor, I'm not the athletic director, we need a lot of butts and seats, okay? We've already got 3 wins. I know it's a Thursday night. I have kids. We all have jobs and everything, but let's make it more than just a glorified high school game. Let's make sure there's a lot of people in the stands. It's ESPN. I really love those. I'm like Kyle and Bubba. I really love the black uniforms. Thank you, Coach Ruff. I think they're awesome. And I think it's great to have a night like this on ESPN that you have those uniforms. And the good news, guys, I guess if it's going to be on TV on ESPN, we won't have the bad camera work. So
no, you'll just have to have that one. There's one guy that does Thursday night games for ESPN now that I cannot stand. He gets on my last nerves. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'll be in the stadium.
What a stage for our program. I mean, to have the opportunity. To be playing a high quality team like Temple, and then that people saw. Granted, Maryland got beat 59-0 by Penn State. Penn State's obviously really, really good, but that was a solid win. And Temple is a name that people know somewhat over the last few years because the job that Matt Rule and other coaches have done there, and most recently Jeff Compton. But
they're coming off win over Georgia Tech, Bubba, and that all these ACC people around here, that means something to them. Temple just beat Georgia Tech, so that it's a big game, and I think we'll have a good crowd. I don't think it'll be. I don't think
40.
I don't know if we'll even get to 40 with people having to work Friday, but it'll be over 35. And I think the students will be there in mass. Students love the Thursday night blackout stuff.
Yeah.
So.
This is a game with that. Some Thursday kickoffs aren't quite so late, but with it being an 8 p.m. kickoff, hopefully, I'm sure our marketing folks and John Gilbert, et cetera, have done some great work and kind of done everything they can to get some people out of this ball game in ways that they maybe don't typically do due to all those factors.
They were handing out some tickets at Pitt Community College the other day.
Yeah, and obviously there are other. I'll just say this: someone get in trouble. There's other businesses that are. They're actually, I think it may be through the chamber. They're selling tickets for $10 for employees at someplace. So hey, I have no problems with that because we need to get as many people in the seats and the way, especially on a game like Thursday night. I mean Thursday nights, even when we've had winning programs and winning tradition here, Thursday nights have always been very tough to get. It's something about, I think maybe it's because we have a hardcore fandom as far as coming to the games about 35, and then that extra 15,000 is what we have.
You got so many people from out of town, man. And
that too. Yeah,
tailgating is such a big thing at East Carolina. It's hard. I mean, Bubba planned ahead, but not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. That's what I was going to say. We have so many people coming from, whether it's not even so much the Triangle, but Burlington, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Charlotte, and even farther away than that, where they can come.
Norfolk.
Yeah, where they can come on a Saturday, but they just for whatever reason can't. And so hopefully those folks will do what they can to get their tickets into to locals' hands or to give them away to kids or whatever, just to get butts in the seats, and then hopefully those people will get some concessions. But if nothing else, they will help make for a better atmosphere, and who knows, maybe they'll become a Pirate fan if they're not already a Pirate fan.
Hey, you upset Temple on a Thursday night, that'll be a good way to make people Pirate fans. And you know, I'm debating on storming the field if we upset Temple.
But
you go tear down the goalpost.
I
can see Kyle from LaGrange. One of those guys on the Sports Objective just took down the goalpost at on the Murphy Center.
That'd be great.
But one other thing I wanted to bring up as far as Thursday night, I don't know if you guys have seen it, Dave. You may have on Twitter. That's what it was, an excellent video, just a little short 15, 20-second clip, kind of teasing the black uniforms and the blackout. That's what it had.
Oh, man.
Town Bank Tower in the background, all right, and Town Bank Tower in the background, and then the silhouette of a player, and just kind of like, what are these uniforms going to look like? And so hopefully they'll be more like the 2013 and 2014 uniforms.
Yes, let's hope so.
And I'm guessing the helmets are before the helmets. The helmets, are going to be solid black, whereas before it was a black helmet with a purple face mask. So now black helmet and black face mask, from what I can,
I like that.
From what I can see, and I'm guessing, just based on the practice helmets we wore earlier in the year, and like Kyle said, they are going to be matte instead of shinier and glossier, shinier look.
It's going to be fun, and like I said, I've said to you guys before, the good news is, isn't it nice that now that we've had a little bit of winning in September, that we can talk about things that are more fun, like instead of talking about head coaches being fired or this is not working or that's not working, we can actually talk about uniforms and things that it's more fun to talk about. I mean, I really love when you're losing, it doesn't matter what color the uniforms are. But when you're winning, you start winning again, you start, oh man, cool, we're going to have the black uniforms. I don't know, just something special about that. And I hope that we can get, my idea is one game a year. I don't know how they can do this, and I told you guys off the air. I don't know if I mentioned on the air, but I really want to have a retro one game a year. I don't want it to be where it's a few games a year, just one game a year, do a retro look of maybe the Peach Bowl year, honor a certain team, or I just thought it would be cool to have that, maybe honor the team.
Well, you don't have to do it every year, but it can be done every other year. So that gets very expensive to do every year, but it's definitely something we need to do at some time. I agree with you 100%. I
think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the throwback uniforms, and it's definitely a good idea. And
speaking of something else fun to watch and talk about, how about these hype videos that ECU is putting out, the ECU football YouTube account? If you haven't seen them, I encourage you to check them out, be it on game day. They typically release them 3 hours or so roughly before kickoff, and so definitely check those out. This week's had Coach Houston addressing the team prior to the William & Mary game, and highlights from that game were intermingled while he's continuing his pregame speech. It was awesome, and so I'll let you watch it, but it was just unbelievable. I watched that first thing this morning when I got up again, and just it puts chills just thinking back to my playing days, just like what it must be like to be in that locker room. And I sent Kyle a funny screenshot of Holton Ahlers. He was just grinning from ear to ear like a little kid on Christmas when Coach Houston was concluding the speech with a fist pump and headed out the locker room doors, and all of his teammates were grinning too. So it was awesome.
Yeah, he's got a lot of passion, and it shows. And I think we're seeing that particularly on the defensive side of the ball. His passion is showing through with the way these players play.
Well, there's no question about how he talked about how. Do you remember you guys about how, I know in spring ball and fall ball, about how fall camp, if you will, how we have a reputation of being soft. So what's great about this coach is that he's not saying we have a great practice every day, but when he was talking about being soft and how, man, we got to be more physical. I mean, obviously there are things that are obvious, but it was nice to have a coach, I think, that's so passionate. And the thing that I love about him, guys, is the very fact that he, even though he says what he feels, which is great, you also know that you're getting somebody that's genuine, transparent, someone that really loves his players. I mean, there's no question how much when you saw that video, when I saw that video last night after the win at Old Dominion, and he says, "You guys, we're 3-2 now." I mean, he wants. In other words, it's not about him. He wants to win, obviously, but I know how much he's told the media and obviously the fans of Pirate Nation how bad these guys were hurt, when he took the job, and how he walked in the locker room. He walked in the team meeting room for the first time, and to see already in just the first month we're 3-2. We thought we'd be 3-2, but you have to play the games right. We could easily be 1-4, right, Cal?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We could, and it's certainly not 1-4. We'd certainly be 2-3, and
right.
It's definitely, at the beginning of the year we penciled in these 3 as wins, but we expectations had kind of been changed about this Old Dominion game, so it's good to win it. Now we move on to Temple, and guys, I think it's time to do what Dave used to do when he would bring a girl home from the attic his days at ECU. It's time to wrap it up.
Absolutely. As we're wrapping it up,
which concert?
Dave referenced the video in the locker room that the ECU football Twitter account put out. That was awesome, just to see not only Pirate Nation but the recruits on social media getting a glimpse in what Coach Houston is like in the locker room after the game, after such a big win, where Coach Houston's talking about overcoming adversity and how proud he is of the team, and how inspired he was by their play and the way they overcame adversity and demonstrated mental toughness, etc. And so, kind of along those same lines with recruiting, how about the running back commitment we got over the weekend from the state of South Carolina, 3-star running back Rajay Harris?
Yeah, another big recruit from South Carolina. The coaching staff is killing it in the Palmetto State right now.
They really are. It's good to see that, and the fact that we're getting the guys that are 3 stars. And how about we've got guys that potentially. The good news is one good thing about social media, you bring that up. A lot of these local kids know that Coach Houston, I'm going to use a Mo term, Coach Houston is the real deal, and they know it. They know he's a winner, and I'm trying to think. Help me, Bubba, the recruit from Havelock. He wants to stay at home. He has other potential. There's 3 or 4. I was reading on our good friend Stephen Igo with Hoist the Colors. But there's local guys that are he's a 4-star recruit, and he has a chance to stay. He was talking about the very fact, which I've been saying all along. He actually wants to come to East Carolina. He can play at home. And the good news is you bring those Havelock fans of his and of the team, you put butts in seats in Eastern North Carolina a short drive away.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's great if we can get him.
But as far as Rajay Harris, something I wanted to mention, Igo broke that right before the game yesterday, so that was awesome news to get within an hour and a half, 2 hours of kickoff. And a little bit about his offer list for folks that care about that, just to show you what type of big-time running back he is before you go check out his film, if you haven't already done so. Tennessee had offered him, West Virginia, UCF, and then also Memphis, App State, etc. So he had at least about 20 offers.
All right.
So that's all right, guys. Do you have anything before we go? Final thoughts?
No, that's done. Just looking forward to the preview Tuesday night, and we'll preview the Temple game more in depth.
That's all. We've got a great lineup. I know we'll have Ryan Wallen and definitely Stephen Igo and maybe another special guest who we're going to be working on as well. So it should be a great one. Guys, thank you so much for your hard work. Obviously with the podcast, on air and off air, both Cal and Bubba work their butts off, and I appreciate them very much for every. It's kind of like we're the Three Stooges. I don't know who's Larry, Moe, or Curly. You guys get to pick that out, but definitely they work hard. All right. Until next time, thank you, Kyle, Bubba. I'm Dave Richmond for Sports Objective Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sports Objective Podcast. Join us next time as the guys will be objective, and the objective is sports.